Hi, I'm Corey. I'm going to be going over my implementation plan after going through our critical thinking and ed tech course this summer. So I'll jump right in. Thinking about, I'll put into present mode. There we go. The biggest takeaway that we talk about in all of our courses is student voices. And in working in elementary schools, I'm asking myself, what do young students care about? When you have, especially primary grades, kindergarten through second, they're figuring out what they are interested in. So, how are we shaping what they care about? How are we exposing them to different things? And a lot of people talk about, you know, when young students come into the classroom, preschoolers, they want to learn, they're curious, um, but they also are finding what they like and what they don't like, right? A child doesn't create a love of reading without putting a variety of books in their hands. So, what are we exposing them to? What are we not exposing them to that's helping them or hurting them from finding their voice? So, I think with younger students and thinking about projects, we got to think about what are we showing them that is important as far as being a good citizen, a good person. How is our curriculum showing them what to care about, and showing them what is important in their learning? Being a problem finder. This was talked about a lot in the Innovator's Mindset book. And in my experience in education and in other working in other fields, um, when you find a problem and you present it to a superior, they also are expecting you to bring a solution with those problems. So if you go to your admin and say, this is a problem that I see in our school, I've found that most times they are going to say, okay, and what do you want to do about it? So not only do you have to be a problem finder, you also have to work amongst yourself or find like-minded people to bring a solution to the table, which can be overwhelming. It can be stressful. Um, but in thinking about change, I think I, in the past, have found a lot of problems, but I have not been brave enough to um, bring forth the solutions or felt like um, most of the times when people get shot down for finding a problem, it is because they aren't bringing a realistic solution. So that's something that I've kind of been sitting on and thinking about um, in our bigger picture philosophy of how we're going to move forward. Um, Students will get information when they need it. So information we know is readily available. It is on the internet. It is um, available to students, and we know that they're going to be able to find it when they need it. But in order to kind of expand that and not have students just be memorizing information that they know can be found very easily on their phones, we need to give them the reason to apply it first. So I started thinking about when I look things up, why am I looking them up? I'm looking them up because I have an application towards them. I want to share it with someone that I was having a conversation about. Um, I am looking it up for a project. So I have the reasoning why I'm looking it up um, as it applies to my real life. I'm not looking it up because I am being quizzed on it. I am looking it up because it is part of something else going on in my life. Um, we look at the news because it affects us, and in order for students to want to access that information, then our job shouldn't be to quiz them on the information. We should be giving them assignments that apply it. Um, so thinking about our lesson planning through that kind of different lens, I think, is really applicable through 21st century learning. tech versus innovation. Um, how are we handing the keys over to students, inside or outside of the box? So, are we using tech for the sake of using tech? Are we using it to be um, a modern teacher? Or are we using it and it really changes how we are um, shifting student learning? So, um, there's so many examples of teachers using technology because um, it's being pushed out from the district. They're being pushed to use more tech, but if you don't have the philosophy around why you are using that tech, then it's going to be similar to how it was before. And that's kind of what we talked about with the SMAMR. Um, Bridging is how are we using technology? Is it a different application? Is it allowing students to be more in charge of their learning? Are we giving them the keys to um, access, to present, to share with the outside world? Um, and inside or outside of the box? So are we using it within the same box that we've always been in, or are we expanding it to connect with others and um, allow more student voice and student choice? The idealist. I really loved this question. I loved thinking about if there was no barriers in my way, what would I want to do? How would I want to teach? Um, and immediately I thought about being outside. I thought about kids using their hands, using real world connections, talking to experts, um, and having it not be inside with a desk with a same curriculum every day. So, um, hands on learning and student choice centered projects. So, uh, within a given content area, let's say art, which is one of the subjects that I teach, um, asking the students to write their own goals. What do you want to learn? What do you want to get better in? What type of art do you want to explore this year? And then also their choice of product or showing me how you have learned it. So, just like this assignment, figuring out what medium of um, information is going to work best for you. So within their goals, that automatically leads to an easy rubric for them to write with the goals that they've set. And really looking at the teacher as a resource. So helping them find that information, access that, process it, um, and to check in with their progress. So really student-centered um, way of learning and to help students really explore what they want to learn and why, and looking at teachers more as a guide would be my dream world, let's say. So to turn to our more realistic everyday, this course and our reading really kicked me into gear this summer with COVID, and I began to write a proposal for the program that I work in. So our program is for elementary school teachers. We go in, I work with a large staff. We go into all the different elementary schools in my district. We provide supplemental curriculum for students, art, science, and PE, and that allows elementary school teachers to have collaboration time and prep time. So with that, we see about thousands of students every week. So we spread a lot of germs. So even if it was to be a hybrid model, which was what my district was looking at, we said there's no way that they are going to have us run our program the way that it was running. So with that in mind, we were kind of put on the back burner. None of us have heard how if they're going to keep our program at all. And we all were kind of tense about what was going to happen because we weren't hearing very much. So I kind of asked our staff last month if we could write a proposal for what we wanted it to look like and have it be completely digital, whether it's hybrid or not. Um, and even if when kids go back to the classroom, once we're off the watch list, to have us be digital so that we aren't seeing so many students. So we sent that off to the district office. I got in meeting with a couple of um, our LSS staff to talk about how that could look like. So hopefully now they just said fully digital for the next first few months, but hopefully that will continue to run even as we open so that we can keep consistent with our students and not be so many places at once. So that was really my first goal that I set for myself this summer, is trying to be proactive in finding a solution for my programs so that they don't kind of push us off and forget about us. So hopefully that works out. Some other things that I thought about was offering to help my principal run our social media. We don't really see parents. We don't have a lot of family connections because we see so many students. So the district wants us to be on social media to show what our program does, but it is not my boss's favorite part of her job. So offering to run that even into the fall as we move digitally, I think could be a great way to kind of expand what we're doing and show other people and share with my staff some other ideas found on there. Advocate for going to fewer schools. This is a goal that I had before the pandemic that I really would like my program to take on. But again, thinking about finding the problem, I am trying to think of the solution to go to fewer schools. Because we see thousands of students every week, it's very hard to build relationships. I don't get to know all my students' names. I don't know their backgrounds, and that can be very challenging. So I want to find a way that we still support our elementary school teachers the way that we are doing, but have us go to fewer school sites so that we can create greater relationships. So figuring out a scheduling way to do that the district would approve of, I really want to figure out. And that way, it's just the biggest downfall of our job, and my staff talks about it a lot. We miss having those connections with students. So figuring out a way to do that is a big dream, big goal. And lastly, and we wrote this into my proposal for the digital curriculum, that we are going to try and revamp all of our curriculums across the board to be culturally relevant, and kind of focus on CRT for art and science and PE, and thinking about how our program reaches all students in our district, and how are we looking at a variety of sources and being culturally relevant without knowing much about their backgrounds, is another big challenge, but big goal that we're going to look at as a staff this year. And we kind of added into our proposal. So a lot of changes, a lot of things I'm looking forward to working on. But I really enjoyed looking at the idealist idea of what my dream school or dream program would be, and hopefully taking pieces of that into this coming year. Being digital, I think, also is going to lend itself to hopefully giving more student choice, and allowing them to be a little bit more flexible, just with time and with online resources. I think that it's a horrible time for a global pandemic always, but I think education-wise, I'm looking forward to having students have a little bit more freedom to explore some things that they might not be able to when we are in the classroom. So Thank you so much for a great semester. I learned a lot, got to reflect a lot on my own teaching and what I want to look at going forward. So, um, thank you.